So welcome and good evening to everyone. Tonight we're going to be discussing Stonepine Crescent. This is our pre-launch webinar, and we are going to get key insights and information into the latest development brought to you by Rabie in partnership with Trinity Projects and Kloof Capital. By way of introduction, my name is Andrew Patterson. I'm from Rainmaker Marketing, and I will be facilitating the discussion this evening with the key stakeholders and role players from some of the most innovative and community-centric development team in South Africa. Tonight, we are going to get exposed to some really key and unique insights into what Stonepine Crescent has to offer, and essentially you'll be provided with information that you won't be able to get anywhere else prior to our public sales launch, which is taking place this Saturday, the 29th of October, starting from 9 a.m. The good news is that everyone who is watching tonight will have first access, and we'll get into a bit more detail on that a bit later on. But just a bit of context before I introduce our panel. Stonepine Crescent will be launching, as I said, this Saturday, the 29th of October, and is a new joint venture between Rabie, Trinity Projects, and Kloof Capital. It's located in Kuils River and will be the first development for this team in the area, but however, bringing their expertise and years of experience and success to deliver this beautifully landscaped, secure estate in this established family-focused neighborhood. Consisting of 2- and 3-bedroom freestanding homes, with exclusive outdoor entertainment areas and modern finishes, starting from 2 million rand. As we will hear shortly, the vision of the development centers around the security and providing green spaces for the community, giving investors, in particular first-time home buyers, the opportunity to get their foot through the property door by filling a huge product gap in the markets. And this is credit to the team for identifying that demand. Just a bit of housekeeping. As you've noticed already, if you drop off or if there is load shedding, don't stress. Just click on the link in the email that you registered for and you'll be automatically logged back on again. Please ask questions. Anything that you want to ask, there are chat functions below. If you're first time on Zoom, you've got the ability to ask via the chat or the Q&A session. Please post them on the chat function. This is an opportunity to get the answers direct from the developer's mouth, transparent, unfiltered answers that you may have prior to our release of the sales this weekend. We'll also know that time is precious, especially at 6 p.m. on a Wednesday. So we'll be keeping this webinar to a maximum of 60 minutes. We are recording this session. So if you do drop off or if you need to move on, we will be sending this out through to everyone who's registered tomorrow. And you can then share on to anyone else who you may feel is keen or interested in the product. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome our panel. I'm going to kick off with Miguel Rodrigues, who's the director of Rabie, and he's representing the development team or the developers. Good evening.
Yes, good evening, Andrew.
We've got Jenny Rushin, who's the sales executive at Rabie, and she'll be helping us address any sales, bonds, and transfer process questions. Good evening, Jenny.
Hello, everyone.
We've got Rowan Alexander, who's the director of Alexander Swart, and he'll be addressing any of the sales questions and discussing the sales process and the purchase opportunities from an agent's perspective. Evening, Rowan.
How's it, Andrew?
And we've got Tina Jikatera, who's the development manager at Rabie, who will help unpack some of the project-related questions and the construction timelines and exactly how Stonepine Crescent is going to be delivered. So, welcome everyone. I think what I'm going to do is going to kick off with you, Miguel. We're going to jump straight into it. You guys have identified this location. You've brought a professional team together that has delivered massive amounts of residential estates over the last years. So tell us and share your holistic vision for Stonepine Crescent and explain how it came about originally.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. You know, like any piece of land that gets brought to us and that we look at, we literally go and walk the land to get the feel of it. You know, so the JV partners and the board went across and we had a look around. We drove around the area, we explored a bit, we did some market research, but from day one, it was clear it needed to be a lifestyle family estate, driven with security and lifestyle in mind.
Brilliant. So, and I mean, yeah, so that's, I think those two elements, community and security, pretty critical in terms of how you define what this product is going to end up being. And I think those two items are crucial to identifying how an investor or potential first-time buyer, or even those empty nesters who are looking to set up shop in something that's secure and safe and welcoming to the younger family. I mean, I think, Rowan, maybe just from your perspective, the area in itself, we've had a lot of interest from the public already since we've launched and introduced the product offering. So what is your feeling from, from a sales perspective right now in terms of the interest and the demand for a product like Stonepine Crescent?
So Andrew, I just want to clarify one thing first. It was me that had to show Miguel around the site. It was me that he was driving around with. But no, in all seriousness, it's always been exciting for me, chatting to the Rabie guys, in a big drive to come out north. There's a big need for this sort of product. I've been trading in this area for about 11 years, been doing a lot of development, and there's been a long time since we've seen good development in this area, real good townhouse developments in security. It's probably been about 5 years since we've seen something really proper in that way. So I'm very excited, and we can see it in the market reaction. If you just look at the leads, the amount of people that have registered online, that have shown interest into the project, that shows that we are on the right direction in servicing a need for this community. So I'm very excited. We can see that the market's reacting well. It's early days. We've got a long way to go, but one of the best starts we could have hoped for up until now.
Brilliant. So I think we'll unpack exactly what the product offering is in a bit. But just coming back to you, Miguel, we spoke about the professional team. We've introduced who your partner and how the JV forms, but maybe just give us a bit of background. I think we know that you've historically worked together or collectively and delivered, projects which have been a massive success. So just let us know how you've built this team behind the development.
Okay, sure. The JV partnership's made up of a group of guys that have probably worked together on and off for about 2 decades. People make business. The people that we're involved with now, they're all solid residential developers, all in their own right. But just to give you some current estates that we're busy with the JV partners, Kuils Capital Real Estate and Trinity's. We're busy with one in the northern suburbs, a nice group housing scheme called Wheatfields. That's with Trinity. And with Kuils, we've got numerous schemes on the residential rental portfolio, scattered across Century City, northern suburbs, Burgundy Estates, very good products. So there's too numerous to mention, but the synergy factor is what comes through with this. Everyone's got skill sets, everyone's got years of experience. The cumulative goes into triple figures. So there's some good muscle behind it, some intellectual capital that comes along. But then we also bring in strong professionals. No one knows everything. So we've got a list of about 20 professionals that work on the team with us, from urban designers to urban planners to town planners. I don't know how many engineers, from structural to civil to traffic to electrical to mechanical. We've got green building consultants outside and internal. All this, and the architects, from landscape architecture to the structures, they're architects. So the whole team, performs well together and support this product to market. As I said, it's a nice bespoke product for a perfect infill site in the node. So we're very excited about it.
And I think you hit the nail on the head there with the word experience. I mean, Rabie alone has 44 years of it in this industry. So I think the team here has got something to benchmark themselves against. Tino, I know there's a lot of stuff that we can chat to you about, which will come on in terms of the actual product and the logistics around it. But Jenny, just from your side, I think, property, location. I mean, that's always the saying that goes along with residential sales. We know Kuils River is an up-and-coming neighborhood. I think we talk about it. There's a bit of urban creep. There's urban convenience, which is linked directly to the rural winelands in the area. You know, we're talking about 20 minutes or plus minus 20 minutes to the airport, about 35 minutes into, you know, the city center. What is your feelings on them, you know, of the growth of the area in terms of sales to date, and how you feel the market will react to this type of product?
Hi, everyone. So first of all, thanks for joining us this evening. I mean, just from my side, we are so excited to chat to you all about our new project, Stonepine Crescent. I'm going to touch sides on two small things here, a little bit about the market in general and what I see in the Western Cape market, which I think we are very fortunate and blessed to work in from a sales point of view, and then a little bit around Kuils River and what we see in terms of transfers and registrations in the area. So just from a market perspective, the market is so incredibly positive and active still at the moment. I think the Western Cape has largely benefited the most from the surge in the demand for lifestyle properties. And we see buyers from all over the country coming in and purchasing, whether they're coming in as owner-occupiers or they're investing, they are purchasing in Cape Town. I don't know if you've seen, because we like to talk about it, that it's the first time the Western Cape has ever risen to be the #1 province in terms of the total value of residential building plans that have been passed. So that's very exciting. For me, what's also very exciting is investors are back in the market. They are strongly back in the market. They equate to about 10% of sales in the market every month, which we haven't seen that percentage for years. So that is very exciting. Other big positive always to remember in this market, banks lending is still very, very strong. So we know that they're lending, they're aggressively competing for competitor market share with each other. That is exactly the dream for the consumer. And also their first-time home buying has increased substantially this year. So all very positive. From Kuils River itself, so I have no doubt you've seen a zillion articles written about all these little popular nodes in Cape Town and where the activity is. So we're very glad that the northern suburbs and Kuils River is a part of that node. We think we've got this right. In terms of the growth we've seen, so if you compare to 2020, so when I speak to you about growth, I look at registered and transferred units in the deeds office that have actually taken place. So comparing from 2020, Kuils River actually grew by 20% in 2021, and 2022 is on track to do that as well. What is quite interesting, a little bit of info, which I always love. So your average owner occupier who's purchasing in Kuils River is aged between 36 and 49. And where the most units have transferred have been in 2 to 3 bedroom homes. So we're so excited to bring this project to market. We think we've got it right.
Andrew, if I can maybe...
Right. Yeah, Rowan, I mean, jump in there, because I think you got some good insight.
Myself and Jenny had a bit of a chat about this, yesterday too. Just having a look at some of these stats and reiterating what we started off with, and strangely enough, or not strangely enough, as a sort of confirmation, she's mentioned 2 and 3 bedrooms being the most popular, sort of house type selling. Interestingly, they fall within the 1.5 to 3 million rand price bracket. And that's always been our gut, as to that's where the bread and butter of stock lies. That's where property moves, where there's a big chunk of the market demand. Just some more interesting statistics, maybe on Kuils River specifically, just maybe bolstering that, is that, Jenny mentioned 36 to 49 being the age group that's sort of most popular. They're making up about 45% of all buyers. And then if you add to that the age group below that, so below the 35, so 18 to 35, your real true first-time buyer, they're making up another 30%. So that's 1/3. So 3/4 of all your buyers currently in Kuils River are under the age, sort of young adults and middle age. So that really speaks to that sort of family, a neighborhood family desire, a desire for a home to raise families. Another couple of interesting things, looking at about 9% annual growth currently in Kuils River. And then a big one that we see emerging trend is 20% of all sales that have happened in Kuils River over the last year have been within secure estates. Now, if you go and look at the amount of properties that are actually developed within estates and that fall outside of the estate, you'll see there's a lot more activity and a lot stronger growth within secure estates. I think the latest figure that was published was somewhere between 7 and 8%, sort of premium for secure estates. It's the future. It's the way that things are going. But that's just some confirmations as to how we envisioned this and actually executed this project in that way.
Brilliant. And I think, I mean, you hit the nail on the head there in terms of that, the opportunity provided that, or the opportunity that Stonepine Crescent will provide for potential first-time buyers, but also, I know, Jenny, you were talking about the investor market as well. We talk about a barrier to entry into property, and I think with Stonepine Crescent is only a 5% deposit to secure your unit, which is something that's potentially quite new in the current environment, but it does reduce that amount that's required to get your foot through into that property door. I don't want to harp too much on about it, but I know the elephant in the room is always going to be that interest rate. And we've gone from 7.25 to 9.75 in the space of 10 months or since the beginning of the year. Do both of you, is it still a buyer's market at the moment? I mean, we know that having exactly like you said, the security, the gated community, the facilities, the location, all of those elements provide backup to why it still is a great opportunity now to secure a home within specifically Kuils River.
I mean, I'll comment first and then I'm sure Rowan will add in. But I mean, for me, what I see in the market, yes, we're well aware of the interest rates and have no doubt that is something on consumers' minds. But we're still lower than where we were pre-COVID times. And also, I think people are still wanting to own a home. I don't think you've ever been more aware of your surroundings and where you lived with what we went through in the COVID times. So I also believe that we have not seen a negative effect on the market at this point. I still think that if you can afford to buy, if it's the right time to buy, and if you find the right product, there are lots and lots of buyers out there that are still wanting to purchase homes, be it your first home, be it for investment, be it your second home.
Andrew, maybe to follow up on that, that discussion comes up quite often in the sales environment, especially with people looking to purchase homes. It's sometimes a bit of an anxious, sort of discussion. But I think there's a number of things. I mean, we've all heard, everybody's talking about the fact that we just at pre-COVID levels again of interest rates and stuff. But there's two elements that I'd like to touch on, which is maybe not touched on that often. One is the fact, which has a bigger effect on the market, is actually the bank's willingness to lend. And that's something that Jenny's touched on. If the banks stop lending, no matter what the interest rate is, that kills the market. In the market that we're currently sitting in, the banks are very willing to lend. They're competitive with getting good interest rates. So that for me is a good indicator of the way that the market is going. Second to that, I actually get quite excited about this interest rate normalization. And people always look at me a bit funny when I say that. But the reason for that is that I feel that there's a lot more of a naturalized market. Jenny's just mentioned the fact that investors have started returning to the market, getting back to sort of 10% levels. We start seeing vacancies clearing up. Properties are becoming full. We're seeing the rental market actually recovering in terms of pricing. So what this means is that there's a lot more natural market. With a more natural market, it's easier to project. It's easier to predict. There's a lot more stability in that environment. When we went through these things like the interest rates dropping, we saw huge anomalies in the market, tenants buying, we saw movement which was unprecedented. Now, the moment you get back to a more natural market, one which grows organically, the work and the advisory role, the planning from the developer's side, right through to us as sales, it just gives us confidence to be able to tackle projects, to give advice, and to take products to market, which we know are suited to the market. So I'm actually quite excited. I see it as more of a benefit. The fact that we're seeing a normalization of this. We may see temporary interest rate rises over the next year. Good news, and I might be jumping the gun, is that Stonepine will probably only register after that. I actually see it as a positive thing at this stage.
Okay, thank you. So just a reminder to all our attendees that you are more than welcome to ask questions in the Q&A. We'll get to through as many of them as possible towards the end. We'll go through each question, but if you do have any questions during this time, please just ask them, and we will try and answer as many of them as possible. Another just a heads up is that if you haven't registered on the website, we'll be post the link in the chat. So just register, because through that you'll be able to receive all the launch information and the key insights and pre-launch access that will allow you to secure a home prior to our public launch, which will be taking place this Saturday on the 29th. And if you aren't following any of our social pages, go on to Facebook. You can follow Rabie Property Group, and on Instagram, the same thing, Rabie Property Group, and then also Stonepine Crescent on Facebook and Insta. There you'll be able to see key updates and insights in terms of what the product offering is, but also updates in terms of the development itself. Tino, your turn.
Yes.
Coming to you. So I think Miguel did talk about it briefly, the professional team behind a project like this. Over 20, 30, I can't remember the number there, 50 different professionals coming into it. As a development manager, I think probably one of the unsung heroes behind projects like this, trying to tie everything together. Maybe, first of all, just, sometimes people don't understand the actual concept of doing a development or a residential development. So maybe just your role within this development, and then we'll go into the actual Stonepine Crescent opportunities from there.
Yes, so thanks, Andrew. Hi, everyone. So for Stonepine, I mean, there's been a very good team behind Stonepine, a very big team, bringing something very exciting. So we're all excited, and within that, I think the whole team here, myself mostly, we've been working on a lot of planning for Stonepine. We more have been involved in the planning, the research, looking at the market, how is Kuils River doing, how is the group housing market going. You see, we've ended up with the gated complex. So all of that planning coming from that piece of land that Miguel was talking about, up to the product that you'll see, or that you see already, bits and pieces of it, that's where we've been heavily involved with the professional team. And I mean, diving into Stonepine, all that synergy from the market, Rowan mentioned, Jenny mentioned, from the area, the location, that's where you get the gated complex, expansive or green open spaces, modern finishes. It all then trickles down into the product itself. So that's where we've been involved with this team, and that's where we're expecting to deliver such a brilliant product.
Cool. And then so we know, well, this will be a phased development, the first phase consisting of 37 homes being released this Saturday on the 29th. I think the pertinent question, and I'm sure I've already seen there's quite a few of those coming through on the Q&A and the chats, is that when is the expected start date and potential completion dates? How long does a project like this take to develop?
Okay, so Stonepine is 177 units. I mean, we're launching on Saturday, so we're expecting to kick off in the first quarter of 2023. So as we come back next year, we're kicking off with bulk services, and then we're going to jump into top structure. It is a market-driven development. So we're launching our first phase now, 37 units. And as the market goes and as our sales go, we are going to roll it out sequentially as we go with the phases. And one thing to note, Stonepine Crescent is phase one of the bigger Stonepine collection. Across the road, there's another Stonepine phase that's going to come as phase two. This is just merely phase one of Stonepine.
Great, thank you. And so, you talk about, or you make mention around professional team and choosing finishers and getting all the ideas and concepts and visions aligned. So Miguel, I'm coming back to you. Just from an architectural style, the vision and the unique opportunities that have been, well, sort of put down in terms of what the product purchase opportunities are. Maybe you can just give us a bit of insight in terms of what those homes are going to look like, plus the green areas and the commitment to that sort of indoor outdoor type lifestyle that South Africans know and love.
Yeah, no, definitely. You know, we can use the term, it's confusing, classic contemporary. But, you know, it's built on old world principles with new age designs and materials. We play a big emphasis on the livability of our estates, the livability of the units themselves. Every home has a private garden. We like to have an entertainment area that flows from the inside out and outside in. We like the open plan living, which embraces the family environment and obviously not the bedroom wings. With garages, we like the pedestrian design lines inside when we design the urban design of the estates. You know, we play a critical part in how the people walk around the estate. What is the experience from the road verges, from the scale of the houses, the simplexes, the duplexes, that's the single stories and double stories, how the driveways work, where the trees are planted, the street lighting and bollards. You don't want to have invasive lighting. You want to have pocket parks scattered throughout. You know, so you're never more than a 30-second walk away from a place of relaxation. But to get there, you're going on a road that's got traffic calming measures, so it's safe. Your kids can ride their bikes. Your gardens, your exclusive use gardens for every house is at the back, you know, which is predominantly try to get them north facing on your entertainment areas. Your street verges have got the lower valves and what have you, so it encourages community living. But it's all encompassing in a safe environment that's dictated around lifestyle. We don't like to over-densify our developments. You know, it just creates too much of a concrete jungle. We like to think we do more than most when it comes to landscaping. You know, landscaping is key when it comes to these things. But, you know, it's about a year and a half in the making, bringing something like this to market. Getting the recipe right is it's a good combination between our sales teams, our professional teams, and the developers. So, you know, we always sit down and we know the agents, they want to sell more for less. The businessmen need to sell less for more. And we meet somewhere in the middle, and design efficiency is where it comes in. You know, we've got to get a relatively affordable product to the market in this node, which is in dire need of. So, yeah, we're very excited very excited about it. You know, it is a single gated entrance, which is going to be 24/7 manned, and that's what people want. I see some of these questions I've just been squizzing through. You can see number one on everyone's life, you know, on
security.
We've got perimeter CCTV cameras. You know, we've got electric fencing on the perimeter. Well, everyone doesn't like it. We'll make it unobtrusive, a sort of invisible security. We're going to have your sense of arrival, both on the estate. We've got a nice big gatehouse that's going to have 2 ins, 1 out, well controlled. It's going to be next to a park. It's going to be next to a detention facility, which is your functional, where your stormwater goes into when it rains. That doubles up. We've increased the size of it and going to be putting a dam in there, as I said previously on another interview. We're going to store the water there for irrigating, you know, irrigate with non-potable. So everything about which is unique, it's a good balance between efficiency and design and livability. You know, gone are the days with the big, massive houses again. You just want nice, livable units for everyone, for young families, old families, and singles and couples alike. So they can benefit now. I know everyone's carrying on about the interest rates and whatever, but that's the benefit about buying off plan, buying from a developer. Is we can go through this rocky patch while we're building it. We take the hit as a developer. Here's the purchaser, only pay for it down the line when it's complete. The first phase buyers, they're going to benefit from the lower price. It's always the first phase is going to be the cheaper unit. The escalation hasn't kicked in time, you know, the value of time. And going in. So get in first. That's all I can say to everyone. You know, you can only benefit. The investors will benefit. The owner-occupiers are going to benefit. Get your foot in the door now. You're paying today's price and getting it later on next year, early 2024.
And I think what's a common theme with this team and their past and their current developments are those green principles, those community areas, those landscape sort of elements that really sort of tie in that outdoor indoor type living, making it more of a functional space than almost the proverbial concrete jungle. So I mean, the exterior architecture, I think, it's very clear. As you can see some of the finishes and design aesthetics and the imageries and the backgrounds that everyone's got. We can also see some of the interior renders of what the product is going to look like. I think, Tino, just jumping back to you now, the basic finishes, or I'm saying the standard finishes that are being used within these units or these homes, just maybe give an overview in terms of what that looks like and what's included in each opportunity.
Yeah, so you're looking at a project with purely modern finishes, tiling throughout, with options. So you get to select your options on the floor coverings, kitchens, melamine, modern finishing, granite tops. You're looking at modern appliances, Bosch, gas hobs, appliances included. So appliances in terms of gas hobs, oven, extractors, and it gives you that that modern look, modern finish for the house. I mean, you can see with the renders that's been put out. And the agents will be able to speak to you more about where you can, how we can select finishes when you come to the construction stage and the construction phase. So that just gives you a good, feel of how many options you can get from the development.
Brilliant. So Rowan, I'm just going to come back to you now. We talk about a product's unique selling points, USPs. I think Stonepine Crescent ticks a hell of a lot of boxes in that regard. We know the security has been a real big focus. We talked about those green principles. It is a pet-friendly estate. Can you maybe just elaborate in terms of how Stonepine does deliver on these opportunities and how they can help potential buyers or investors make a decision in choosing Stonepine Crescent as their next purchase?
Andrew, I think to just get back, I mean, we've been chatting about the green aspects and stuff, but I think that's probably going to be the biggest single element by which this development will be identified. When you're driving through that suburb, if you look at it currently, sort of you're turning off Saxtown Road, you take the road up to the site, and you find, you see the remnants of the droughts that we've had over the years, and the people opting to go for hard landscaping, and you see that it's happened everywhere. Now, with your arrival at Stonepine, I think your biggest impression is going to be the lushness of the environment that's created, and that immediately speaks to the desirability, and creating an area where people want to stay. If you're able to create an environment where people want to stay, everything else complements it. And that will be the biggest. I think the biggest USP that it will be identified by. If we then start looking into detail, I've mentioned it, is that from a security estate point of view, with this sort of product, it's been a long time since there's been this good quality product, with a thought through design, in the scale of this sense, or scale of the size in these areas. So that in itself would make it unique, in that it will almost have virtually no competition in the quality of the product that it offers, the lifestyle that it offers in this area. So those are probably the things which one holds on to. And then you look at the pricing and you compare that to existing market pricing of secondhand homes, and you can actually see that you can buy a new house within a secure estate and not have to pay the transfer costs, and probably come in at the same price as something secondhand that's maybe 10 to 15 years or 20 years old. It makes your decision making a lot easier.
So let's get into the crux of it. Let's talk about the product offering. Our 2-bed and our 3-bed homes. Maybe if you can just talk about that starting price point for each of those units, and just talk about the sizing and what actually is, encompasses those particular type of homes.
Yeah, so we've got essentially 6 standard plan types, and then we've got what we would refer to as a special type, where a house has to be uniquely designed on a plot. So it's not a plan which is repeated throughout the development. It would be unique to a particular earth. The 6 standard plans, without trying to get into detail of every single plan, I think I'll just try and give you an idea. We have what we refer to as duplexes. That's the one that I'm standing outside. That would be the double-story house. We have a 2-bedroom as well as a 3-bedroom. Our 2-bedroom is about 2 million rand, and our 3-bedroom is just under 2.5 million. It's about 2,485,000. The sizing there would be from about 115, just under 115 square meters up to about 165 square meters. So the 3-bedroom being a nice big duplex. Then moving to our single-story houses, that's where we only have 3 bedrooms. So single-story are all 3-bedroom double garage. They would start at about 2,400,000, right up to about 2.7 for our most expensive product. So you'll see there's a nice spread of product, whatever your needs are in that way, whether you prefer something double-story, bigger, single-story. If you're just looking to get into the market with the 2-bed, we'd be able to assist you.
Right, and just to confirm, so the 2 beds come with a single garage, and the
That's
3
correct.
beds with a double garage.
Correct.
Cool. Jenny, over to you. I think, from a sales process perspective, there's obviously going to be cash buyers. There's going to be interested parties who are looking to finance their purchase via a bond. If you can give us your top tips for assisting buyers in terms of how they can sort of engage with you and the sales team in terms of what documents are needed and essentially the key elements for obtaining a bond.
Sure. So maybe just to chat through a little bit around the sales process itself. So first and foremost and most important, be in touch and meet with one of our real estate professionals at Alexander Swart. That's the first step we need to do. Obviously, once
everyone on the webinar will have first access prior to public release. So if you haven't registered, make sure you do register. But if you just want to engage, please contact the agents directly and they'll be able to help facilitate your next purchase.
100%. Once you've selected your dream home, next step would be to get yourself pre-approved. So just to give you a little bit of context of what we have done from the mortgage loan perspective. So first and foremost, we have pre-approved the actual development itself with all the major financial institutions. So that has been done. We have appointed a dedicated mortgage originator who will be there to help all the clients with their financial needs. If I could give advice to anybody, it is to get yourself pre-approved, know what you can afford, so that when you are selecting that unit, you've already got a great idea of what the value of the home is that you can actually buy. So that's a critical part in it. So now you've got yourself pre-approved, you've now selected your unit. Your next step would actually be then to sign the offer to purchase. So the exciting bit, you sign the offer to purchase. I think we have chatted a little bit around the deposit requirements. So the next step hereafter would be a 5% deposit is payable by the purchaser. And you can then secure the balance of that purchase price one of two ways. If it's a cash transaction, it's via cash, or in some forms it could be a guarantee, or it could be to raise mortgage finance for the balance of that purchase price. And again, as mentioned to you, that is why we have a dedicated mortgage originator also working with us on the product, who will handhold the buyers through the steps of actually submitting that home loan. There is one other option that buyers can select. So you can also pay a 30% deposit upfront when you purchase. thereby securing your purchase price, and the balance would only then be due 90 days before transfer takes place. That is another option for buyers. In terms of documentation that you'd need, so obviously from a FICA point of view, just to keep it very simple and high level, you'd need an ID, a proof of residence, an income tax number, and a proof of bank account. As far as the mortgage loan is concerned, and obviously the expert will take you through that, but in quite simple terms, you would also need the bond application form. You'd need to complete a detailed income and expenditure and provide proof of earnings, whether you're self-employed or whether you are an employed or salaried individual. Now your bond is approved, you've paid your deposit, you've therefore secured your purchase. The next step would be for us to instruct our dedicated conveyancers that have been appointed on this project, and that is Smith Barter Buchanan Boys. Somebody from Smith Barter would then be in contact with each purchaser and be communicating them and taking them through this journey all the way from purchase all the way through to transfer. This is also the point that you get to meet the wonderful Rabie project team. So they will also do an introduction for you, and they'll be integral in your journey, especially in terms of selecting finishes and actually going through your handover process. But in a nutshell, that's effectively how the sales journey and process will be for the consumer. And just so that you know, we are here for every step of the way. We know it's an emotional decision and it's a huge investment and a huge asset you're investing in. We are all here as a team to help you through every step to make it the most effective way to do this.
Thank you. That is super insightful. And I think it's critical that people understand exactly what that buying process is, because we want people to be able to secure their preferred unit from the very get-go and not having to come back or worry about someone else taking their preferred future home. Maybe just from that sales process, Rowan, if you can give us an indication in terms of what the next couple of days, are going to entail in terms of first access and potentially our public launch, which is happening this Saturday, 29th of October from 9 a.m. If you maybe just give us a bit of insight in terms of that process.
Great. So next step would be for our website to go live. Website should be going live tomorrow morning. We're aiming for 7 a.m. We're looking to go live with a website. And what's pretty cool is that that website actually has a online purchasing option. So bring your wallet, tap and go. It's already like a take a lot sort of purchase. You know, you just add the property to the cart, you pay your 5,000 Rand reservation, and that gives us 48 hours exclusively to you to sign an agreement of sale on that particular property. You know, if you don't proceed in signing that agreement within 48 hours, that 5,000 Rand is refunded and you lose your exclusivity. So with a build up and a launch, you know, sort of to a launch like this, that's one of the most effective ways to actually manage that. Is the moment that the website goes live, people have the opportunity to actually reserve that property online. The email will go through to the agent. The agent will make contact with the purchaser, and then that natural sales process will happen. So we'll engage, we'll run through the details, the process. You know, we'll reiterate everything. We don't expect anybody to remember everything we've just discussed. You know, we'll run through the contract, the processes, you know, the pricing structures, everything again, and that will be the sort of natural process from there onwards. That process is going to be headed up firstly by everybody who is here. You know, everybody who's here will be aware of that, know that the website is going live, have the opportunity to actually reserve online. And then coming Saturday, we actually have an on-site launch. So we'll be there at Saturday from 9 until 2. So if you're Cape Town based and you want to come and see the site, you want to come and meet the team, you can do that on Saturday between 9 and 2. And then on Sunday, we'll be there again from 11 until 5. So we're going to be pretty present in over the weekend, actually on site. We'll be able to run through all of this again. We actually have some of the professional team there, you know, being able to answer a lot of these questions again. We find that that's just the best way to do it, to come and stand there, experience the site for yourself.
And I guess the messages to everyone who's listening here tonight is that Saturday is a public launch. And as you said, the interest and the demand for this particular development in the previous weeks since we've released information has been exceptional. So for anyone who is looking to secure, I think they have an opportunity to get access and get first access before anyone else comes and tries to purchase their particular or their chosen home. I think so. We're coming towards the end of our session this evening. What I'd like to do now is just go through some of the questions and just spend about 5 or so minutes just trying to answer as many as we can. I think there are some who have been answered in our conversations already. So I'm just going to start from the very top and go through what we were speaking about. So, we've spoken about the security, access control, 24-hour manned. In terms of the access specifically, are we talking biometrics, or are we talking tags, or how is that actually going to be facilitated? Maybe Tino.
Yes, Andrew, that's going to be tagged. It's not going to be biometrics.
Okay. And then one of the big things that we always get asked is levies. So maybe Rowan, if you can just quickly have a quick snapshot of what those levies and even the potential rates for the area and for the state would look like.
So levies estimate on the first budget is 1,080 Rand per property. Then the next question you always get is what does that include? Generally in an estate like that, it would the bulk of that levy would go towards your security and the maintenance of all the open spaces. Remember, it's private open spaces, private parks, all of the verges along the road in front of the homes will be irrigated and planted. So looking after that aesthetic and looking after the security and the management of that is essentially what what that levy would cover. Rates, city works on a value-based rating system. So if we use comparative properties in the market, you're looking at a rates of probably under 1,000 Rand, just under 1,000 Rand a month.
Okay, thank you. And then, I think Tino spoke about this specifically, our expected or estimated start date for the development is in the first quarter of next year, so 2023. I think the project is market and sales dependent, so that's completion dates will be absolutely dependent on how the sales process runs from essentially Saturday onwards. But in terms of your expected completion date, I think you mentioned talking somewhere towards the end of 2025 for the entirety of the project.
So because it's phased, this first phase we're launching on Saturday, which we're releasing 37 units. We're expecting those units to be available and ready to occupy at the end of 2024.
Cool.
So that's the first batch of units, and we'll roll out as we go.
And just on that, I think this is not a completed building. It is off plan, and off plan is something that is to be built. So if you are going to the sales office or the site, you will have the ability to view amazing renders and brochures, but it's very much digitized in terms of how you can see what the vision and the expectation for the look and feel of the development will be. We are rental opportunities. I think, Jenny, you touched on it in terms of investors and the potential rental demand for the area. Maybe just a quick feedback session on that in terms of how that can look like and what we can expect once the development is complete.
Sure. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an insight into what we deem to be the projected rental for both a 2-bed and a 3-bed. And then I'm going to let Rowan let me try that again. We'll let Rowan comment after that because he is the area expert. But what we're expecting on a rental projection on the 2-bed is around about 13,000 a month. And what we are expecting on the 3-bed is 17,000 a month. And Rowan, I don't know if you want to just add in a little bit around that.
I think that's pretty accurate. Looking at the timing of the project, we've spoken about that. Being completed end of next year. I think if you look at current market values and you project them, I think that would be achievable. So our entry level, I sort of really think 12,500, 13,000 with a maximum of about 17 on the biggest product. And then you'll probably find our smaller 3-bed being that middle product, or somewhere around the 14,500 Rand a month mark. Andrew, if I can just quickly jump back to something which ties in with the timing. I think it's also important for people to know that this is a turnkey project. It's not a plot and plan project. So what that means for your purchaser is that they have no expense to pay prior to registration. So in a typical plot and plan scenario, they would take transfer of the land. There would be construction on that land. During that period, they would need to service interim interest. They would need to pay levies. They would need to pay rates and taxes. In a project like this, where it's a turnkey, this is funded, the construction and the development is funded entirely by the developer. So the benefit to your purchaser is that they have no expense up until the date that the house is completed. That ties into the fact that when you get there, there's nothing there yet. It will be getting there. Yeah.
But I guess
Did I jump in?
Yeah, absolutely, Miguel.
Listen, I'm loving listening to my team. They are Mr. and Mrs. Confident, and I know this product is world class, and I know it's going to be well received with the market. I just want to let everyone out there in order to complete and occupy the first phase by the end of 2023 is going to take a good effort from everyone involved. So everyone must just bear in mind there is a possibility it will extend into the new year, into 2024. We know there's only 11 months sort of construction year. December belongs to the contractors, they need their break. So I'm just putting a hint of reality.
Voice of reason, Miguel, voice of reason.
Voice of reason. Then just quickly, I've been scanning through, Andrew, the questions that are coming through, just to find like the common themes. It's topical at the moment with load shedding.
Been firsthand.
Yeah. We're not going off grid, and we haven't been putting inverters or batteries into the houses. We are putting PV panels on to supplement the hot water heating. That's for the efficiency and low utilities. And that is strategic in the way of lowering the base price of units, because obviously that's an expensive item. However, these are all freestanding homes, barring a handful of semi-detached 2-bedroom duplexes. They're all freestanding homes on their individual urban. It might be a house, an HOA, but they're all freestanding homes. So we happily, the site team, Tino and his team, would happily engage and facilitate installations of inverters and batteries and additional PV panels. So they're optional upgrades that can be put in. And also people talking, and Rowan was speaking about the levies. The levies at 1,000 Rand, 1,080 Rand. There's 166 internal units and then 11 on the periphery, which gives you good economies of scale when it comes to your levies and your costs. So basically, we want to take care of, we've got some good managers lined up to take the scheme on once it gets transferred, to make sure everything gets looked after properly. And those levies are very, very competitive for what the offering is, and it takes a lot of you. But you don't lose the fact that you own your own house. You own the roof, you own the ceiling space, you own the garden. You just don't own the street. You don't have to look after that. That's done on an HOA level. You own a share of it. That's the association part. So yeah, we're very exciting about all this. And every house will be fiber enabled, FTTH, fiber to the home. Okay.
Very important.
Yeah, high speed.
Yeah. And then Jenny, just I know you did talk about it, just in terms of, so if purchasers secure a bond, they would have paid their 5% deposit, which is 5% of the purchase price. They would then secure a bond. What is the time frame for when that bond will be called for, and when will they will actually start servicing that bond?
So they'll have to secure with the bond approval within 30 days of them signing that offer to purchase. They would then be deemed to be secure, but absolutely no payments are made by the purchaser until your individual property has registered and transferred into your name. So you put it in place right now within 30 days, and the first payment on your mortgage loan is probably even another 30 days after transfer has actually taken place.
Perfect, thank you. We've spoken about the levies, estimated time frame. I think what's important is that, Rowan has mentioned that the website will be going live tomorrow. There will be digital versions of a brochure and buyer's guide, which will showcase the actual unit types with their schedule of areas, giving information around, frequently asked questions and a fact sheet, just to give, users a bit more understanding of exactly what Stonepine Crescent has to offer. So as a reminder, all these questions, anything that hasn't been answered, we will get back to you, or the sales team will get back to you over the course of the next day or so. The session has been recorded, so check out your inboxes tomorrow for an email, hopefully early tomorrow morning from Stonepine, which will have the recording, which you can then share on to friends and family after you've been amazed by the product offering and the team's excitement about what's to come in Kuils River. And, just a reminder that we are on social, Rabie Property Group or Stonepine Crescent. You can search on Facebook, Instagram, and then I think the most critical thing is just a reminder that everyone who is watching tonight who has registered will have first access from tomorrow prior to the public release, which is happening on Saturday, the 29th. So if you haven't registered, register now. If you are wanting to get more information direct from the sales team, please engage with them directly. The contact information is on the current site, so you can chat to them. And then I think we are almost at 60 minutes, but Miguel, I'm just going to come back to you. I think, I always ask this question, your top three, 3 words to really sort of describe and unpack what Stonepine Crescent means to you, because I think what really resonates from everyone on this webinar is that there's a hell of a lot of passion going into this product, a hell of a lot of emphasis in terms of that community-centric, green living type of approach. So maybe if you can just finish off with some words of wisdom around what you believe Stonepine Crescent means to you.
Yeah, Andrew, if you'd say 3 words and 3 words only, I'll go secure family.
3 sentences.
Yeah. Secure family lifestyle. That's what it's all about. This development and Kuils River in particular, you've got the luxury of living on the urban edge. So you've got urban convenience with a multitude of shopping centers and restaurants on your doorstep. You're on the cusp of the winelands, that's the rural winelands. You've got the mountain biking, the wine tasting, the exploring, the road trips, everything right there. So you got literally the best of both worlds on your doorstep. That's what it's all about. And, you're buying from reputable developers. You can, there's a lot. If you want to secure your investment, buy from someone reputable. Rabie has been around for 44 years. The guys have got a very good track record. You can go on our website and have a look. You can meet the team. You've seen a lot of them on the screen now. You've seen 3 or 4 of them. We really encourage you to come down and experience it firsthand on the Saturday. Rowan will even cook you a burry.
Looking
Sure,
forward.
that's Sunday though. That's Sunday, not Saturday.
Okay. Tina will give you a beer.
All right, thank you. I think that's all we have time for this evening. So I just want to say thank you to all those who have attended and watched this webinar tonight. We really appreciate your time. And thank you to the panelists. I think first-hand information direct from the horse's mouth in terms of what we've got to offer. It's been brilliant information and key insights to us. So I just want to say thank you to everyone, and I hope everyone has a great evening.
Thank you.
Cheers and good night.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Cheers. Cheers.
Yes, bye-bye.